So what is leadership? Like, what is leadership? I remember having Jimmy Johnson stop by here, one of the great football coaches of all time. And I asked him one time, I'm like, what is leadership? And he's like, I don't know. Troy Aikman had it. I can't really define it. And I don't know what it is either. I think leadership is the courage to do unpopular things, but don't do unpopular things just to be aggravating. Leadership is elevating others. Leadership is, I can count on you in crisis. The NBA's got all sorts of talent. I don't think they have a ton of great leaders, but I think Kevin Durant is one of those. I think LeBron's the best basketball player in the world and has been for 15 years. When healthy, Kevin Durant, in my opinion, is number 2. Kawhi's a close third, great defender. But I think even though the burner Twitter account and, he can be a little bit fragile physically. When I think of Kevin Durant, I think of always takes the big shot, never ducks it, will yell at teammates, yelled at Draymond Green, not afraid to go after people. I don't think he's quite the leader of LeBron James, but I don't think most of this league is quite the blank of LeBron James. But I think leadership starts with honesty and doing uncomfortable things. And I'm reading these stories about the Houston Rockets. The owner says, I will make it uncomfortable for Westbrook and Harden. And you think to yourself, boy, Houston is in a rough spot here. Kevin Durant can clean it up very quickly. And this is a moment for Kevin Durant to be a leader. Kevin Durant goes to the owner and Steve Nash of the Brooklyn Nets and says, get me Harden, trade everything else. You don't need Jared Allen. You can win in this league without bigs. Kyrie Irving, Harden, and KD. Be honest, that doesn't even sound like it works. That's just going to be too many guys with the ball. Kevin Durant and James Harden can get you to the NBA championship with a bunch of B players. Listen, the NFL's different. Most of your star quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have any baggage. He's coachable. He works hard. He's good. He's a great kid. He loves football. He's passionate. He works his ass off. But in the NBA, just the basketball culture in general, everybody's got something. Kyrie is brittle in his ego, and Westbrook doesn't play well with others. But the truth of the matter is, in the big picture of the NBA, take LeBron out of it, Kevin Durant and James Harden, they love to play. They play hard. They're into basketball. Harden's kind of ball-centric style can be difficult, but he's gotten lots of playoff wins in his career, and Kevin Durant's remarkable, although, again, his injuries concern me a little. Leadership, we know that LeBron James has gone to front offices and said, get me that guy and get rid of those guys. When he came to Los Angeles, he didn't like any of his players. I'm still not sure he likes Kuzma. He said, get me AD. That is leadership. You may not like that view of leadership, but that's what CEOs do in America. Get me that vice president. Get me that sales director. Get me that HR person. That is leadership. Let's go get it. And LeBron has never been shy. Go to an owner, go to a GM, go. I need that. I don't like that. Kevin Durant, this is your moment. You can be a nice guy. You can be well-liked. James Harden and Kevin Durant feels like a finals to me. Make it happen. LeBron would. And I think KD, I do think KD's got good leadership skills. I really do. Sometimes he gets, the little Twitter burner thing, whatever. LeBron's on social all day anyway. Some guys are into it. NBA guys are into it. But this, to me, is a moment. Because the rest, it looks like Houston's in a really tough spot. They wouldn't be if KD went to the owner and just said, let's get Harden, give him whatever they want. Give him Kyrie, give him 5 first-round picks, give him Jared Allen, give him a guy off the bench. You'll figure out, in the NBA, you get LeBron and AD, they just won a championship without a dependable third scorer. Joy and I watched it. It was on television. We were literally all year like, who's going to show up? It was like Rondo all year was a mess. And then Rondo in the finals, you're like, okay, it was Rondo. You get 2 great players. You get LeBron and AD. You just figure the rest of the crap out. You get Harden and KD could make this happen today. Give them everything. Get me Harden. That's leadership. It's uncomfortable. You'll get flack. But in this league where even the star players all have, outside of LeBron, there's a little baggage here and there. KD doesn't have a lot. And Harden, I'll take his. He plays hard. He plays every night. He gives me 32 a night. And by the way, he makes an effort on defense. He's not a great defensive player, but down low, he'll put his butt on you. He gives an effort. I'm okay with that. Kyrie doesn't. Yesterday, by the way, Chris Broussard said KD likes James Harden a lot.
People around the league are saying Durant wants Harden and Kyrie does not. Who is James Harden close with in the organization in Brooklyn? Mike D'Antoni. Every offense he's created has had one guy handling the ball and creating the offense for everybody else. Who you think he's giving the ball to in Brooklyn if they get James Harden? It's Harden. And I don't see Kyrie wanting to be the third best player on a team.
Make it happen, KD. You can do it. You're a leader. You are. I believe it. Go for it. All right, NBA draft is tonight. I think this is rather remarkable. I'll watch it. I'm a sportscaster. I have to. The NBA draft tonight does not have a clear-cut guaranteed star. Not one. Basketball is a global game. The world plays basketball. And for the record, like soccer, it can be kind of inexpensive. Hockey, tennis, golf equipment, football, baseball, you got to find a diamond, bat, ball. Those can be really cost prohibitive. But soccer and basketball, get a ball, couple of dudes, you can work on your game. It's a global game. And we don't have one player in the draft that everybody acknowledges is great. Last year alone, in the first round alone, the NFL got 3 stars just at quarterback. Just at quarterback, ready to play as 21, 22-year-old men. LaMelo Ball may go number 1 tonight. Apparently his people are giving teams binders, breaking down his social media influence. Anthony Edwards, guard from Georgia, may go. He has, they say here, an inconsistent work ethic, can't shoot. He tells the story that he really prefers football, but once he could dunk, he chose basketball. So they asked him, when did you really get into basketball? He said, I'm still not really into it. If I were drafted by the NFL tomorrow, I'd let basketball go. He also says he wants to get into music. Oh, boy. I'm not blaming the kids here, but I think we have something going on in our country in the basketball and football cultures, and I prefer the football culture. It does not coddle and it does not worship. Kyler Murray is great. He had to transfer. Russell Wilson's amazing. He had to transfer. Aaron Rodgers had to go to a junior college. Baker Mayfield had to walk on twice. Tom Brady was told, you're not good enough. We'll draft 6 quarterbacks over you. The basketball culture in America is increasingly, and it's getting worse, worshiping coddling. Find an 18-year-old or earlier, according to reports I hear about shoe companies, and get them paid. The football culture is about building men emotionally and physically. This past NFL draft, they could not hold it in a city, although I got to tell you, I loved it in Chicago, I loved it in Philly, I loved it in Nashville. I like the traveling NFL draft. I think it's really cool. But instead, they did it on Zoom calls and meetings and houses, and it was remarkable. Young men surrounded by family, crying, changing lives, oh, so ever grateful for the opportunity to play a great game. They weren't handing you a social media binder. They weren't saying, yeah, I kind of prefer hoops. Football's culture builds things. They build young men into 22-year-old men who are a little more grateful, a little more humble, a little more thankful, and frankly, a lot tougher and more focused. I don't blame the kids on basketball. If I was 15 years old and somebody gave me a briefcase of money in my situation and I was told I was great and it was swag and it was shoes and it was YouTube, I couldn't handle it. Who am I kidding? I'm not sure if I can still handle it. I don't blame the kid. I blame the culture of basketball, which is too coddling and worshiping and YouTube driven. A social media binder? I'd play football if they drafted me? It's allowed. In football, it's not about finding you and paying you. It's about finding you and building you. The development in football is remarkable. I live in Southern California. It's all over the country. I've seen it in Houston, Atlanta. The quality of football coaching is so good. And it's not about just the kid. It's about the culture and building him from a boy to a man. I know it sounds corny and melodramatic, but we have a global game, and we don't have one player tonight who's guaranteed to be good. The NFL is a domestic sport. That's the only place you get players. It's expensive. It's cost prohibitive. There's 7 rounds of players, and then half the league is undrafted. I like my sports to care more than just about money. I like them to care about the kid, emotionally and physically. I'll watch the draft tonight, but the top 2 players would scare the hell out of me. I don't want to know about your Instagram page. I don't know about Patrick Mahomes. I don't know about Kyler Murray's. I don't know about Joe Burrow's. I never knew about Andrew Luck. I know he needed to shave his beard. It was a mess. I don't want to know about that social media stuff. And by the way, if you don't love basketball, keep it to yourself. You're hurting yourself. Do a better job as an agent. He's a kid. He needs guidance. But I think we have a basketball culture that too often is broken and a football culture that's worried about the right stuff. Not only building up a kid's bank account, but building up the kid emotionally and physically. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.